So the global Testfire just ended recently, and I thought I'd make a video about my impressions of what we've seen in Splatoon 2 so far. I played 3 of the 6 sessions for this beta, so I played a solid few hours with the new maps using the new weapons. Or weapons, since we only have one new gun so far. So why don't we start with the weapons? Overall, I was really impressed with the balance, and it felt similar to Splatoon 1, as in nothing felt nerfed. Although I did think the Splat Charger felt a bit weak, but that's probably just because I'm horrible with it. I'd never been that great at sniping in the first place, but with the Switch's Joy-Cons that have small control sticks, it was hard to aim at anything. But maybe if you have a Pro Controller, it'll be easier for you. I'm still waiting for the price of a Pro Controller to drop so it's not more expensive than game. I love the new Splat Dualies, although I will say they felt like a splatter shot with a higher rate of fire, but they were really fun and very strong. I think Nintendo hit a sweet spot with balance where they were able to add a type of weapon that's strong, but still just as powerful as the others. When I think of a sequel that didn't do this, I think of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, where they nerfed the original characters to the point where they were almost unusable, so everyone would just use the new equipment. This game doesn't make that mistake and makes each weapon fun and balanced, but again, maybe not the Splat Charger. The roll ability you can use with the Splat Duelist is incredible. It's super useful and helps me win a majority of gunfights, and I can tell that not everyone has learned how to use it properly yet, so I guess you could say I'm exploiting it, but just a bit. Splat Roller is just as powerful as ever, and the Splatter Shot is pretty much the same as the original, which brings me into my next point. I only really have 2 gripes with this game, and only one of them is big. My biggest gripe is that the game is pretty much DLC for Splatoon 1. The graphical improvement isn't significant enough to notice, and in some places I thought the texturing was a bit worse. Besides the ink, the colors on the maps were pretty bland, and all around not as colorful as the original game. Now obviously when there's neon ink everywhere, the maps become brighter, but the atmosphere, I don't know what it is, it just feels more dark. That's my biggest problem with this game. It's not a true sequel in terms of multiplayer. The map design is similar, the graphics are similar, and the weapons feel familiar. I know there's a lot more in terms of weapons, maps, and even single player to come, but so far it feels equal or slightly inferior to the original game. Just to get all my problems with the Testfire out of the way, my only other annoyance is the music for the game. The soundtrack, from what I could tell, is the same as Splatoon 1, which I'd be fine with because I love the spunky music from the original, but they took the music and put a weird filter on it, which I'm not really a fan of and just sounds off. Let me play a bit for you. Maybe it's just me, but it doesn't sound as good as the original, and I'm not sure if I can get used to it. I'm so used to the original soundtrack during matches and after games that hearing the same thing, but oddly filtered, might never sound right to me. Now that we've got the bad stuff out of the way, I really like the new abilities and super jump mechanic. On the Wii U, the way you used to see how much of the map was covered in ink and who you could super jump to was by looking down at the gamepad and tapping where you want to go. But now the Switch doesn't have 2 screens at once. You press X to pull up a nice 3D map where your teammates are, then you can press an arrow to lock onto them and press A to super jump to their location. It all works very smoothly, and I was worried it wouldn't be as easy as the Wii U, but in some ways it's even easier. The new abilities we saw were really fun and fairly powerful, as they should be. I hope in the full game there'll also be abilities from the original, but even if there's not, these abilities are plenty of fun. I think the best was the jetpack that hovered you in the air and let you rain down ink bombs from above. It's really cool. So overall, if you still like Splatoon 1, you'll like this game, as it's very familiar, just with new weapons, maps, and abilities. If you haven't played Splatoon 1, you'll also probably enjoy this. It's a very unique shooter that's unlike its competition. And if you didn't like the original Splatoon, you probably still won't like this, as not much has changed besides from what I've mentioned. But yeah, I really enjoyed the global Testfire for this game and will most likely be getting it eventually. However, I probably will not get it when it comes out. Not because I don't think it's ready, but because to play online by the end of the year will require a paid subscription, and I want to wait until there are more games out before I start paying for that subscription. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Splatoon 2 global Testfire. I hope you found it somewhat interesting in case you don't have a Switch yet and weren't able to try out the beta. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.